the topic of my paper today falls within translation teaching methodology, an area of scholarly inquiry that has attracted much attention since the turn of the new millennium. More specifically, the aim of my paper is to illustrate how translator trainers are increasingly drawing on the research methods developed in descriptive translation studies in order to devise and apply corpus-based teaching techniques that are inspired by the general pedagogic principle of discovery learning. During my presentation, I will first of all outline Gideon Toody's discovery and justification procedures for descriptive translation studies, and then I will illustrate a case study of corpus-based translation pedagogy that draws on these procedures to develop a translation pedagogy for the student-centered, professionally oriented translation classroom. So what are these procedures? They are articulated in three phases. The first one involves the selection of a corpus of translated texts and in the examination of their acceptability in target language. That is to say, the extent to which they adhere to the linguistic and cultural norms prevailing in the target language for a particular text genre. The second phase involves the identification of the source text and the mapping of the segments of each target text onto the source text counterpart in order to establish target-source relationships, translation problems, translation solutions, and shifts, either obligatory or optional. And finally, in the third phase, on the basis of this empirical evidence, the researcher can put forward first-level generalizations about the norms underlying the concrete way in which equivalence is realized. So we can see that the process is gradual, discovery and justification, because at every stage of this circular and ever-expanding process, we put forward hypotheses, we test them against empirical evidence, we put forward generalizations in order to refine our hypotheses or discard them or confirm them. So this is the spirit of the discovery and justification procedure. Now let me move on to the case study where these were elaborated and applied for translation purposes. Let me give you some details about the course where they were implemented. It is a 60-credit postgraduate course in professional translation delivered at the University of Bari. The subject domains are the business and economics, medicine, science, computing, law, and tourism. And each subject domain is taught these subject domains are taught in modules. And each module is further subdivided into units, which are taught through lectures, seminars, and workshops. So this is the background information about the translation course. One of the units of the module on business economics focused on the teaching of the translation of polysemic lexical anglicisms in the language of business and economics. And the teaching objectives were essentially three. The first one was to unveil the norms underlying the translation of anglicisms from English into Italian. And the second aim was to, the first aim was to become familiar with corpora as computer-aided translation tools and resources, the type of resources that are available to the professional translator. The second aim was to unveil the norms underlying the translation of these anglicisms, and the third aim was to acquire knowledge of the domestic competitors of these anglicisms, that is to say, the Italian native equivalents, if there were any. The third thing I wanted to say was about the corpora. What were the corpora that we used? The monolingual comparable corpus corpus consisting of translated articles from English into Italian and published in the weekly magazine Economy, the Italian weekly magazine Economy. 71 articles, 60,000 running words in total. This was the translational component of the monolingual comparable corpus, and then the non-translational component consisted of 71 comparable articles published in the same magazine, Economy, and this was analyzed using monocomp. The other corpus that was used in class was a unidirectional parallel corpus consisting of 71 articles published in The Economist and their translations in Italian in Economy, and this was analyzed with Paracomp. Both corpus processing tools are designed by Marco Barbo. So let's go and look at the results. So the first phase consisted in identifying all the anglicisms contained in the translational subcorpus of the monolingual comparable corpus. And the most frequent one was found to be business. Business is a well-established anglicism in the Italian language, having entered the Italian lexicon in 1895, like in most European languages. And so it was the one which had the highest frequency, 37 occurrences out of 71 articles and 60,000 tokens, running words. And the analysis of the concordance lines revealed 5 different meanings of business. The first one is the work of producing or buying and selling goods or services for money. The second, a high-profile area of business where more than one company operates. The third one, a highly profitable business activity undertaken by a company. The fourth, a large organization that provides services or that makes or sells goods. And the fifth one was quite technical, refers to the volume of business realized by a given enterprise. And each of these meanings was associated with a particular lexicogrammatical pattern. So meaning number one was associated with words that refer to other human activities, such as in the coordinated phrase, turismo e business. It was also associated with the place where business is carried out and the people of different nationalities that are in business. There were also examples of multi-word units, some with Italian words and some with English loan words, such as business hub, area business, segmento business, area consumer e business. The second meaning was associated with nouns that identify a particular business sector and the position gained in the market. Nouns referring to the major players that operate in the business or impact on it. Adjectives describing its qualities such as diversity, profitability, or importance. There were no compounds or multi-word units. The third meaning is associated with words that refer to the company undertaking a particular business activity and to the type of activity undertaken. Also with verbs referring to the changes undergone by a business. Adjectives and nouns describing its main features, such as novelty, solidity, volatility. There was one example of compound, that is to say, core business. The fourth meaning was associated with words referring to the people owning or running a company, or to the way in which a company organizes its activities. Multi-word units found were business model, modality business, business manager, business partner. And finally, the fifth meaning is strongly associated with words that refer to the monetary value of a company or business sector. And here are 2 examples. The first one refers to Formula 1, which is worth, well, I can say it in Italian because you know in business that 800 milioni di dollari. And the second example refers to the nuclear industry, un business that 125 miliardi di dollari. So this is the first stage, the first part of the analysis in phase 1. Now comes the analysis of the comparable corpus consisting of 71 articles published in The Economy. Same number of words, more or less same number of running words, but here the occurrences jumped from 37 to 70. The meanings identified were exactly the same, with the only difference the meaning number 2 and meaning number 5 included also illegal activities, criminal activities. Let's have a look at the concordance slides that I have reported in black ink, where there is divergence. So the blue ink indicates convergence similarity between the two sections, two components of the monolingual comparable corpus, translational and non-translational text. The black ink identifies what is different. Here, the meaning number 1 appears in creatively, and always in the title and the subtitle of the articles. Examples are Il business resta in porto, Titanic del business, il business non è l'unico quadrante su cui far girare le lancette della vita, so we can see creative metaphors and also wordplay. I'm not trying to give you the actual business activities it refers to, but you can see that the word business is used idiosyncratically. The second meaning, again, convergent similarities, but also difference in as far as there are compounds here. The illegal sectors are included, and there's some examples. Il business dei falsi, il business si chiamano droga, prostituzione, racket, and also creative use of business. Un business che si chiama sconto, un business duro come il tic. Third meaning, again, there are some differences here as regards the nouns that are associated with business. These unveil the importance, emphasize the importance, the competitiveness, the credibility or profitability of the business activities. There are various compounds, there are strong collocations with nouns, possibilità, opportunità, occasioni, and also with the verb fare. And again, creative collocations and puns, il business in una cannuccia, ora faccio il business col cuore, un tornado di business, o più di un business per capello. Okay, so fourth meaning again, difference mainly in the creative use of business, in creative collocations, creative metaphors and puns. Un business fatto di nuvole, Leonard è quel business che è caduto dal cielo, il business lievita alla luce del sole. And finally, fifth meaning, creative use of business here, quel business a 2,5 milioni di sacchi di caffè. Also illegal activities, il business dei falsi, vale almeno 7 miliardi di euro all'anno, so if you thought of changing career, well, there is your opportunity for you. And also the mafia, cibo nostro, la mafia dell'alimentare, quasi 20 miliardi di incassi per la criminalità organizzata. Tanto vale oggi il business mafioso nell'agroalimentare nelle sue varie declinazioni. So, we come to the conclusions, phase 1. What can we say? Well, first of all, what we find is that when a word is business, such as business, the lexical grammar of one sense of the word differs from the lexical grammar of its other senses, and this is confirmed in the monolingual comparable corpus in translated and non-translated texts. The second conclusion is that the collocations, semantic preference of business in translation and non-translation in Italian appear to be divergently similar. There are samenesses, but there are also differences. And finally, the translator seems to have resisted the influence of English to a degree by limiting the use of business, 37 occurrences against 70, and largely reproducing its unmarked lexicogrammatical pattern. There is no evidence of the creative use of business in translation text. Of course, these are just suggested conclusions because the corpus is very small. So some of these differences may well be due to the fact that we were working only with 37 occurrences. So we need to be very cautious here about drawing firm conclusions. These are just hypotheses and suggestions. Then the second phase consisted in mapping the target text onto the source text. And what we discovered were the domestic competitors of business in Italian. In the translation, in fact, the original business was barely translated as business, and also il mondo degli affari, gli affari, affari, l'attività and attività commerciali. The second meaning was barely translated with il settore, l'industria, le industrie, and also business. It was a translation of industry in the source text. Third meaning, un'attività commerciale, l'attività, le attività delle aziende. The fourth meaning was translated with un'azienda. There was also an example of the fifth meaning, was actually business introduced where there was no business in the source text. This was associated with the monetary value of a business activity, and there were also examples of explicitation. For instance, here, generating the business is a bit vague. It was translated with cedendo i prestiti, clearly explaining the type of business operation that was being implemented. So, let's come to the phase 3, first level generalizations about the norm. What can we say? The initial norm governing the translation strategy seemed to be towards acceptability, towards the norms of the target language and culture. And secondly, as regards textual linguistic norms, we can say that in translation there's a preference for native Italian equivalence and also a tendency towards explicitations. Right, two very brief conclusions. On the basis of students' evaluations, I can say that the students felt professionally empowered, as Donald Kirley, according to the definition of Donald Kirley, that is to say they felt they had acquired self-reliance, flexibility, specialized knowledge, type of skills that are required in the highly competitive modern translation industry. And as far as I'm concerned, I felt professionally empowered too. Not only because I learned as much as I taught, and as Dorothy Kennedy said in Granada, we continually learn about our mother tongue when we translate, and we translate in a collaborative environment such as the student-centered translation classroom. But I also felt professionally empowered because I was able to engage in what Kirley again calls action research. That is to say, the type of research the translator trainers carried out in their own classrooms in order to bring about long-term changes in translation pedagogy. Thank you very much for your attention.